Hello. Hello, can everyone please settle down? We will start the session. Thank you. I would like to welcome Jens Sorensen from Spain to conduct the next section of reflex therapy. So everyone please take your seats for the next session. Thank you.
So welcome everybody. I'm very pleased to talk here today. First of all, I would like to defend I'm not Spanish. I am from Denmark and my name is Rudy Sorrenson, but I have my main office in Spain. So that is why I suddenly became Spanish. But I would like to defend my nationality. So, let's see. I am the founder of what is called the International Institute of Reflex Therapy and Temporana Therapy. I have been an intern very early in my life. I started when I was 18 years old, and I started studying reflexology, traditional reflexology in Denmark. It was the first school in Denmark, and it was of course not the best because it was the first. And from the very beginning I thought this can be better. And actually I have used now nearly 40 years of my life to do it better. So I created my own method called reflex therapy, similar to reflexology, but it is not totally the same. To explain the difference, I can say that it is maybe more based in medical questions, in anatomy of the body, the central nervous system. And what is very different, it is the results I can obtain with this therapy. So, back to the time where I started in Denmark. I first worked 10 years in Denmark, and I already very early in my life I became interested in working with children. I had an idea, I want to help children with school problems first and all. But when I was 23, I got my second child, and my second child, he had a problem with his health. And I was struggling 3 years with the problem of my son. Then I realized that the Danish hospital system could do nothing for him, and the next step will maybe be to lose him. So I took this case in my own hand and started up rehabilitating my own son. And it was very successful. My son is 34 years today, and he is also my partner of my company. So maybe because of my experience with my son's health, and also because it opened the view to other children's situation, I became more and more interested in working with children. In 1988, when my son was 4 years old, my oldest daughter 9, I decided to move to Argentina. So I sold my institute in Denmark, and I moved with my 2 children alone to Argentina. Everybody always asks me, why Argentina, from Denmark to Argentina? This is not very normal, and less in 88. So it is because I'm half Argentine, my father is Argentine, and my mother is Danish. So that was the relationship I had with Argentina. So I left Denmark and I started a new journey in Argentina. When I came to Argentina, I realized I had no idea about what is reflexology at all. So I became the first educator in whole South America of reflexology. Started my school, I started my clinic, and from the very, very beginning I had a huge success. So I was working more than I never did in Denmark, from early morning to late night with clients, and every weekend with teaching. And one day I went to the mountains to observe some water volcans where you can take baths for different health problems. And I met a group of Aboriginal women working with a technique of the face. I learned this technique from them. And when I came back to the city where I lived and where I worked, for the first time I had a client with a brain damage. And I was working with her for a little while, about 4 weeks before this travel to the mountains, with food reflexology, traditional food reflexology. And I didn't show at all any improvement. I have done like 8 treatments. I didn't imagine either that I would have absolutely any improvement with 8 treatments for this kind of case. She was in this moment 23 years old. She had her stroke when she was 19. and she was very, very spastic. She was so spastic, she could hardly walk, she could not take her clothes off herself, or clothe herself, or eat herself. She had her own mother helping her with all her daily life. So, of course, when I came home with this new technique, I asked Susanna, that's her name, can I try this new technique I have learned of the face on you? Because I did her for free. She had no money to pay for any treatment, so of course it was a kind of experience for me, and as I said, my very first client with a brain damage. And she accepted, and I started up working with Susanna. Susanna, she became so much better with this combination. I started up doing facial treatment and also the feet. So of course I got very excited about the results I saw with her. I worked with her 1 year. I did more intensive the treatments. Instead of once a week, I started up twice a week, 3 times a week, and in 1 year I have rehabilitated Susanna 97%. And she became my first secretary in the school I opened in Argentina. So that was really huge to live with this experience. And everybody in the city where I lived in Argentina, Bahia Blanca, it is a city with about 300,000 people living, so it's not extremely big. And what is very special with Argentina, they speak a lot. You know? It's a good advertising if you do something good, and if you do something wrong, it's too bad. So, as I was doing something very good, not only for Susanna, but I showed a lot of amazing results with the clients coming to my clinic. People started up coming with a handicapped family, with children with different brain damage, with growing up with brain damage, with stroke, with accident, all these kind of things. And suddenly I became an expert in this question, the only in the world working with reflex therapy for rehabilitation, and I'm actually still. So this was my beginning with this journey, and of course I realized I need to learn a lot about the brain. When we are educated in Denmark, it is the only country still today where reflexology is recognized by the government as an education. So we have to study 600 anatomy like a nurse in Denmark, and we have to have 250 hours of teaching of reflexology in Denmark. Whatever, we didn't learn anything about the brain. And if I want to become an expert in brain damage, I need to know something about the brain. So I started up searching, how can I learn more? So first of all, I went to the university in Buenos Aires to study neurology. And also I did a lot of courses with different doctors working with a kind of integrative medicine or different method. And I learned Tibetan medicine from a doctor in Argentina, and I studied also with a doctor, a French doctor in the city of Cordoba in Argentina, which is a university city, and he have used this doctor, Dr. Bossi, his whole life to study connection between the Chinese meridian and the central nervous system. I did a lot of courses. I also traveled to Cuba because I heard that in Cuba they know a lot about rehabilitation. So I did a travel to Cuba, and in Cuba I met a Vietnamese technique using 564 nerve points only on the face. So I developed more and more method about the face. I didn't only have suddenly the method from the Aboriginal women. I also got this method from Vietnam, and I also did acupuncture in Denmark. I'm also an acupuncturist, so I also studied acupuncture, all the acupuncture points and the whole technique, and I selected some special points from the acupuncture to combine. So I started really combining, and during a period of 2 years after I met the Aboriginal technique, I had suddenly a base technique where I was using 7 different methods combined. And as I had after 2 years in Argentina, I had about 6 assistants helping me in my institute, and I also had about 1,000 treatments a week. no, sorry, at months, 1,000 treatment at months. So there were 60% of those were disabled clients, adults and children. So it was a huge, huge situation to try it out. So I was, of course, trying to combine in many different ways, and I did a lot of experiences and experiments myself. For instance, I had a group of clients. They had swallowing troubles. It means they could actually not swallow at all. So I did a project for myself to find out how can I make them swallow. And I did. I had success. Of course, what I noticed was with one client it was faster, and another client it was took longer time. That was mostly the difference. But I could make a client who could not swallow. This was my first really exciting experience. So on, I did a lot of personal investigation about brain issues related to the facial technique. So for many years, I just used it for rehabilitation, the facial technique I developed. But I also learned nerve reflex therapy of the hands from Argentine Dr. Maria Perez in Buenos Aires. So I also started up using hand reflex therapy. Now I don't call it reflexology anymore because it's actually not. It's a different technique based in the nerve system. So that is why I also changed the name. And I also, by the study I did with different doctors, I developed my own method for a food reflex therapy technique called neurofood reflex therapy, praxis vertebralis. It is a manipulation with the spinal. Suddenly I also have many clients with broken backs. So in Argentina during 13 years, I did so much investigation about this technique, and I started up combining face reflex therapy with foot, neurofood reflex therapy, and hand reflex therapy. And in this way I created what's called Temprana reflex therapy. Temprana reflex therapy rehabilitation method. Also in Argentina, as we had too much work, we finished at 2 at night, we started at 7 in the morning, and we were not able to attend all the clients who wanted our treatment. So I started up teaching parents, and in this way I created a home training method, Temprana reflex therapy and home training. And that is what I am also teaching today. Now, so many years later, I am teaching Temprana reflex therapy in many countries. Well, I started to educate also after 2 years in Argentina. I started to educate. Actually, I did my first course in Argentina when I had been there for 8 months. But my school I opened after 2 years in Argentina, and I educated about 3,000 persons as reflexologists in my years in Argentina also. So I came back to Denmark in 2000, and now I have not been back to Denmark in any moment of this 13 years. When I left Denmark, I thought I should be in Argentina for 3 months, but it took 13 years before I come back. And now I come suddenly back with something totally new to Europe. And before I left Argentina, I was already a well-known teacher in Denmark. I also started teaching in Denmark before I left Denmark. But now I had suddenly something new. So when I came back to Denmark, I started up with my parents' training for handicapped children. I do for handicapped children, handicapped adults. I'm working with, for instance, stroke patients. I'm working with Alzheimer, dementia, Parkinson's, MS, whatever you can imagine, and also children with any kind of brain damage. I'm treating children or training parents for children with brain damage, with different kind of syndromes, Soto syndromes, Down syndrome, or whatever. Also, sad to say it, many children with vaccination damage. Any kind you can imagine. But I have like 3 apartments or 3 different sections, maybe better to say, in my school of rehabilitation. I have adults, I have brain damage, it's one category, adults and children with brain damage. and also we treat mental illnesses and also school problems. No, any kind of school difficulties. It means I work a lot with autism, because autism you can place in both groups. There's many grades of autism and many reasons of autism. And this is autism, it is where I did a lot of attention into everything. But autism has always been maybe my cutest interest. So I have a lot of experience working with children with autism of different grades, but also ADHD or CD, any other kind of brain problems or simple school problems like dyslexia or learning disabilities, hyperactivities and whatever. So I have different kinds of parents courses. We have parents training or family training, and also call it, as it's not only children, also adults. 3 days family training with following up every 3 months and adjustment of the treatment plan, very personalized. The client, the child or the family have to come for a pre-consulting. It can take me up to 3 hours to make a pre-consulting, and with this pre-consulting I'm building up a totally individual plan for the individual client. It's not that we can use the same plan for everyone. Depends, of course, where the brain is. Damage is in the frontal, the parietal, the temporal, or occipital lobe, it's the midbrain, whatever. Some they have epilepsy and others have not. It also makes a difference in the plan. And also with parents courses for school problems, then there's also 3 days, but they comes in group. For the rehabilitation, family comes alone, very, very personalized. But for school problems, we work with parents in groups, up to 12 parents in the same group. It is much more easier to manage. And there's also a difference when a child have a brain damage. The training every day at home is 1 hour 15 minutes or maybe 1 hour 30 minutes, and if it is school problem, it's 30 minutes. So there's a quite big difference in the plan. This is something very special for my home training method. If you know other home training methods, Doman method and other method. Doman method, parents have to train their children 10 hours a day. 10 hours. So it's very possible that the family will break down. Many families are getting divorced because parents do not agree how much to train, how much they have the life to train their child, and if there's other children, there's no space for any kind of family life. I know this because I went through all these processes with my own son. 10 hours training a day, it's actually not possible to maintain at all any common life. So I also really put attention into my building of my system, that it should be something you can combine with other life conditions. So it's 1.5 hours compared to maybe 10 hours is a huge difference. And it is very effective. In my method, it is included, of course, to train, to rehabilitate the brain's function. But in the same way, I am also in the same treatment, I'm also working with all body's condition. Many handicapped children or adults, they develop other problems with their health. For instance, breathing problems, allergy, they're getting a lot of medication also, so they are full of toxins. So in my method, there's also included like a detox of the body, and I'm working on all the vital organs function in the same. Also the blood circulation, if a person cannot move, especially children, there's a huge relationship in between the movement and the developing of the brain. So if a child is paralyzed, how can they develop the brain? So in my treatment plan, I also have included moving the blood circulation as if they moved. In this way, I'm also helping the brain to develop. Many people, they think that a brain with a brain damage cannot develop, and this is actually not true, of course. It can develop whatever, and special in children, in small children, because we know today about the plasticity of the brain, also included in all my view in my method to treat. So this is what I'm doing today. From when I came back to Europe, I also started my school again, my professional school. So I'm having two schools. I'm having a school for professional teaching and a school for parents. And very soon, when I came back to Europe, I had a huge developing of my school also, not only my parents' school, also the professional school. And since now I'm teaching in 21 countries. I have my own school in Copenhagen, in Spain. I have my main office, my administration and my school. I also have school in Buenos Aires, and I have school in I missed one. Japan, sorry. How could I forget it? It is my biggest school in Japan. But I'm also working with a network of 35 instructors, local instructors in different countries. And lately I have been working very much in Oman. And I am preparing to open the first school in Arabic countries of this kind in January next year. So let me see, I have educated about 14,000 students, professional students around the world. The last, since 2000, I don't even count with the one before. So since 2000 is about 14,000 students, and of course not in rehabilitation. I have 3 apartments in my professional school. I have one we call Common Health. This is for any health problem, no? Sciatica problem, headache, ulcer in the stomach, whatever. Because my therapy, hand, face and feet reflex therapy, can be used by organizing different protocols and individual protocols for any health problem. So this is our cutest apartment, because thank God there's more people without brain damage than with, no? So this is also my main education, professional education. And underneath there, my basic courses of hand, feet and food. I have about 40 specialized courses where my student can specialize in infertility, in hormonal problems, in menopausia, in children's special need and whatever. Many courses. And then I have my rehabilitation out the apartment. This is the second, if we talk about how many students and how much activity. And I'm also teaching Tibrana reflex therapy, but of course a smaller group, because not all therapists, they like to work with rehabilitation. There's much less people in this world who like to work with handicap than with other health issues. And ladies, but not also important, for about 14 years ago, 15 years ago, I started also a beauty apartment, not because I have a huge interest myself, but it is like, well, maybe a way to owe money, to support all the other things we are doing. This is actually the way I need to see it. And I developed a method, very worldwide known, with Japanese lifting. No, it is an anti-wrinkle treatment. Very effective. But I promised myself when I started my beauty school that it should never only be for wrinkles. I need to work with the reason why we are getting wrinkles. So this is Japanese facelifting, where I work with the reason why, the inner side reason. All my concepts totally works with the reason. There's always a reason when we are getting sick. Now, of course, I don't talk so much about an accident, a stroke, or whatever, but even stroke, it also have a reason. But if you have an accident, maybe it's different. But there's no illness without a reason. And what I am doing with my concept, it is to work with the reason. And my method allows me to analyze with my hands where is the reason in the body of any illnesses. So I can find out what went wrong before you got a problem with the thyroid. What was wrong in your body? What is the reason why you are getting ulcer? Every illness, I can find out the reason, and I work with the reason. If I can erase the reason, there's no illness and there's no symptom. So my school is totally based in treating the reason, treating the cause of any question. And I am very sure, because now it's nearly 40 years I have been working with this technique, that this is a huge difference between my technique and other kinds of reflexology. The most technique I have met, are actually all, to say it honestly, they are based in treating symptoms. This is very easy. I can also make, in a very few minutes, an asthma patient breathing better. But to erase the asthma, it is not the same. And that is what I can do. There's a huge difference between this and other techniques. So this is another very difference between my school of reflex therapy and other schools in the world. So let me see. What I am doing, a part of traveling around about 320 days a year, doing all the additional courses, superior courses in the different 21 countries where I'm running schools. I'm working the latest year very much in Oman. Oman is a country with a huge number of handicapped children. Yeah, it is a cultural question because they marry cousin to cousin. So every family in Oman have at least one handicap. When I go to the desert to work, I find family, I found a family with 8 handicapped children, all with CP, cerebral paralysis. One and the same family. I also have family with 4 or 5 handicapped children. Typically the same, because it's the same parents. So they get the same genetic question. The CP in Oman is the highest number of brain damage, that's the most common seen in Oman. But there's also any other kind of syndromes and accidents and vaccination questions and autism and I don't know what. It is a country where it's very easy for me to work with my rehabilitation program. So in 2010 and 11, and also a part of 12, we did a project in Oman where we were training 390 families in Oman in my rehabilitation system. And we did such a kind of sort of statistic study about the results. But it's very, very difficult to study because I think this is the only question in the world where when we talk about brain damage, there's so different conditions. How can you make a study? No? Because one have the brain damage in the temporal lobe, another in the frontal lobe, another in all 4 lobes, another in... So the conditions are so very different. But whatever, it shows the excellent results I have. And we have been training at least since 2010-11, 500, more than 500 family in my method in Oman. So this has been a huge experience also. So all the experience I did with 60% of my clients in my institute in Argentina for brain issues and also in Oman. And in Denmark it's a different country in the world when we talk about rehabilitation and brain damage, because once we were one of the best social conditions in the world. We are not anymore, but still we are quite good. And in Denmark, it is possible for parents that government are paying for a home training method if parents decide to home train their own children instead of bringing them to an institute. So Danish parents, they like very, very much to home train, and there's several systems. But when I came back into Denmark in 2002, I was the first offering home training in Denmark. And now the Danish government also pay parents home training, my home training course. So it also means that I have quite many parents in Denmark using my home training method. So this is what it is. It is a totally different approach. It's a totally different offer for parents with children with brain damage. It is a method where we can see that many children can develop, because also what it is about, we are not used in our world to use the word cure, and we are not curing, so it's not a problem. I never need this word to cure. This is exclusive for medical doctors, and it is totally okay with me. And when we talk about handicapped children, it's absolutely not the word I need. What am I offering? I am offering better life condition and life quality for the individual. I am offering to develop the skills as much as I can, as much as maximum for the individual person, as long they have to live in this earth. So it is about better life condition for the child or for the growing up, and for also for the family who have to care about it. Yes, so let me see, just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. In Oman I have a family with 4 handicapped girls. They are totally without any intelligence. They have to be enclosed in a room like this, where they cannot get out, because if they lose, the parents lose them, they don't know even what is the name, where they're coming from, or anything. So this is very important to keep them very much controlled. And first time I met this family, the mother, she said to me, the oldest 15 years and the youngest 4 years, 12 and 9. And the mother said, can you help me just so they can go to toilet themselves? That was her biggest wish in this moment. Can you imagine 4 girls from 4 to 15 where she have to change diapers every day, many times a day? That was her biggest wish. So they come with this kind of wish. But I also want to talk to you, I tell you one case I had in Denmark, because of course I have thousands of cases and I cannot tell you all. But I had for about 15 years in Denmark a boy. When I saw him first time, he was 5 years old. He's suffering the syndrome called Q18. And it is how to explain it. It can also be a little bit different from one Q18 to another Q18, because they can have different symptoms. They have something similar, a very low IQ, for instance. And normally they live until they are 8, 9 years old maximum. This boy, he had spasticity in his leg. He had a very low IQ. He had no language. All the classical things you can find about a boy or a child with Q18. But he was also blind. He could only see 17%. Then you are classified as blind. And he could only hear 50%. This is not typically for Q18. Nobody knows why he also had to struggling with these 2 functions. And I saw this little boy, and I said to myself, if he could see, his life would be so different, because he couldn't be alone for 1/4 of a second any time. He had to be with a person constantly, because he couldn't see, he hardly hear, he had spasticity in his leg, and all this. Also autism, of course, as a consequence of his life condition. So I decided, first of all, I will work with his visual function. And I am so lucky, I have been studying the method of a Japanese doctor, Shamamoto, a specialist in rehabilitation. And I decided I want to use his method in a combination with my method very strongly for his visual function. And after 8 months, this boy could see suddenly 60%. After 1.5 years, his visual function was 100. So here's one of my very nice cases. I have many. Children, they couldn't walk, they can walk. Don't tell me that it is not a better life condition if a child could walk. I work with a family. You can see the film in YouTube. If you look for my name, it will come up. 3 handicapped children, 7 years, 12, 13 years, a big boy, and 20 years. A little man was the father of 16 children. His son, 20 years old, he had to carry him to the toilet in Oman without wheelchairs in the desert. Don't you think it was great when I this 20 years old crawling? He could crawl, he could move to the table to eat, he could move to the toilet. This was a life condition. I didn't make him walk yet, maybe it will come, but I make him crawl. And his sister of 7 years, in 6 months, I made her walk. And the mid boy also walking. I have 2 films in YouTube where you can see the work I have been doing with this family. And I went there also with a group of my students to do experiences, this kind of cases in Oman. So I have many proofs around the world that this is working. We just have to spread it a little bit more. There's many countries, they will need my therapy because you know why? It's very cheap. You just need your hands and a little bit of coconut oil and you can sit under a palm doing it. So there's no condition, you just need hands. It is an excellent method to train parents to do this method themselves, to help themselves to train their children, because this is a condition, it must be done every day. If you don't do it every day, or at least 4 to 6 times a week, you have no result. So there's no other way learning parents. Very, very easy condition. I have worked in the jungle, in the Amazon jungle, with Aboriginal also teaching them this method. People who cannot read, because I did a fantastic system using the 6 basic colors. So by using the colors, I can even teach people who cannot read. I have done many times. The Bedouins, they cannot read. If they have to sign a government document, they make a cross. And the same in the jungle, they don't even know to make a cross. So they can learn it without this condition, and only, I say it again, with the hands. So this is what I'm offering. It is what I am using my entire life to spread my method. And I'm missing Esther, so maybe you, Elizabeth, I want to tell you just shortly, because I have, for 3 years ago, I started up changing my own life condition, maybe to traveling a little bit less, instead of 320, 40 days a year, maybe the half. So I'm also going online. And I need a professional online school where I'm offering not all my courses yet, but my basic courses. I think I have about 25 courses I'm offering until now online of my professional school. And I am just starting up having parents online website also. Especially I started with autism, but there will come more. And I started up working with a USA company, Mundo Pato. And this is a way to go online cloud, where I'm offering also my programs. Elizabeth, can you say just 3 words about that? Because you are better in explaining Mundo Pato.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Basically, tomorrow there will be a talk on powerful women on the cloud. And I would recommend that you come.
Because if not, we cannot hear you. It must be short, because we don't have too much more time, Elizabeth. But this is new, my web page in Mundo Pato, which means the little dog, is started this Monday, yesterday, the day before, this week.
Congratulations.
Yes.
So the Sorensen system is going global this month. Basically, Lone, with the work she's done for the last 40 years, will now be on the cloud. And those of you who don't know what the cloud is, which I didn't know 6 months ago, is it's going basically viral, as it would for the YouTube. It's going to go to practitioners around the world, or families around the world, depending on the thought leader. And Lone is one of our first thought leaders, and we will be speaking about searching for thought leaders on the cloud. in integrated medicine, in education, and basically the IP, the intellectual property, remains with the author, but the reach and the global zip or postal code goes to the thought leader. So Lone's courses in autism, in multiple sclerosis, in the senior package of dementia, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's will be going global now to universities and hospitals and practitioners around the world. And I think that's enough.
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I didn't say it, but she's my manager of Mundo Pato. Excellent manager. So I think that is what I have to say. I could talk about this for many days, of course, but I have to limitate myself. So I hope I gave you an idea about the work I'm doing for children around the world. For children, for families, for parents, and also for adults with different brain problems. So thank you so much.
Can we get a picture, please?
Can we have a group photo, please?
A group photo.
Please, come on.
My staff.
Yeah, everybody. Come on, even the audience. Let's have a group photo. Oh, no, Jiga, I came in. So you went right then I'm just
Excuse me. Excuse me.
All this I'm also with you. I have worked a lot with children abuse, especially sexual abuse, traumas. I didn't mention that, but this is our medical
हो गया फिनिश हो गया ना नहीं ग्रुप छोड़ेगा आप बस ग्रुप आते ही ले लेना बस वो ले लेना उसके बाद खाना खाना हाँ यस प्लीज पता नहीं कल तो 1 बजे
Yes, we have to go forward because it will be get the light out.
I'm sitting here. I'm behind you. I'm very happy.
okay
We have to go
yes okay
together.
Yes.
बस डेट करवाना ही है
Smart. Yes. Okay.
Just wait.
Thank you so much.
yes
Please stay. One is my side.
Oh, right.
Yes, yes,
One for the group.
Nobody was asking.